Chapter 353. A Muslim Girl in the West, Section 6. The arrest and interrogations of Sakina and Abbas made the case of Dr. Ibtihal more complicated. Both husband and wife denied that they had met Dr. Ibtihal on the day of her arrival and took her to the Muslim women's shelter. They said that they saw her only in the mosque during Friday public prayer. The shelter management confirmed their statement that Dr. Ibtihal came by herself and requested the shelter for accommodation. Since she showed her Libyan passport, the shelter granted her accommodation because she was an Arab Muslim girl. Sakina and Abbas were released after 24 hours from the time of their detention. 45 Arab girls were allowed to return to their shelter. The Greek police placed Dr. Ibtihal as the prime suspect. She was believed by the entire department of the police that she was the one who made the phone call from the shelter and informed some terrorists from Al-Qaeda, the Iraqi branch, that the attacks on the city would be carried soon. Accordingly, the Greek police harassed her day and night. Nevertheless, the US FBI still believed that the case of the Sudanese woman was surrounded by some mystery and they must find a way to penetrate that mystery. They found it difficult to believe that the woman who suffered so much in her country because she fell in love with a Christian man and converted to his religion would change overnight and become part of a terrorist network and participate in such vicious attacks on Athens. The same woman was condemned to death by an Islamic court in Sudan for her conversion to Christianity, and after few months she was arrested as a terrorist in Athens. Either there were totally different women and somehow they got confused as the same woman, or there was some mystery needs to be solved. The FBI team inquired about the religious commitment of Dr. Ibtihal while she was in the shelter. All her roommates and the shelter administration testified that she was very committed Muslim girl. She always performed her 5 daily prayers with other women in the shelter. She had never missed any Friday public prayer. She attended the Quran recitation every evening and participated in it. Therefore, the team found nothing to make them doubt the religious commitment of Dr. Ibtihal to the Islamic faith. The FBI team found itself was challenged by a very difficult case. The FBI team began to focus its efforts on finding out the gunman who helped Dr. Ibtihal from escaping the death penalty and where her lover went. Dr. Ibtihal became of no help to them in either case. She had no idea where her Christian lover disappeared and who were her rescuers. The team decided to send some members back to Sudan and try to solve those 2 questions and gather more information about Dr. Ibtihal regarding her love affair and conversion. Meanwhile, Dr. Ibtihal's mind was tormented by the mysterious disappearance of the Palestinian girl, Salama, and why everybody in the shelter denied her existence. Could she possibly to have hallucinated the existence of someone who in fact never existed? Moreover, Dr. Ibtihal also was troubled by the information that reached her through the Greek police that Sakina and her husband had said they had neither met her on her arrival day nor they had taken her to the Muslim women's shelter. According to the Greek law, the accused should be brought before the court within a month from the time of his or her arrest or otherwise set free. A day for hearing was fixed for the 5 suspects. Meanwhile, the FBI team members returned to Sudan to conducted their second investigation on the case of the young Sudanese woman who was accused of taking vital role in one of the most deadly attacks that the Islamic terrorists ever done in a Western country. By then the case became public in Sudan and many media men and women published it. The Khartoum government was able to keep it away from the media when the FBI team conducted the first investigation. This time the local and national Sudanese media picked up the news from the international media and made it breaking news in Sudan. The Sudanese people were astonished to know that the same woman who despised Islam and brought stigma to her royal family was the same woman who brought great honor to her religion by participating in one of the most successful jihadi attacks on the enemies of Allah. In the minds of millions Sudanese, she was suddenly transformed from being the messenger of Satan to the angel of Allah. Many women praised the womb that carried her and the mother that gave birth to her. Some men carried away with their zeal for Islam composed religious songs on her praise. Some religious leaders preached in their Friday public prayer sermons that Allah had granted full forgiveness to that woman for what she had done in her past and she would receive great reward in paradise. The FBI team could neither succeed in their efforts to find out who were the gang that rescued Dr. Ibtihal nor able to locate her Christian lover. This time the Khartoum police openly hindered their efforts to carry a successful investigation. The only thing that they were able to lay hands on was the sample of the DNA test that conducted on Dr. Ibtihal when the Sharia court wanted to verify that her first baby was not the son of her husband. For the FBI team this test was so important because they were already challenged by the Greek police that the woman who was caught in connection with the terrorists' attacks in Athens was not the same woman who was involved in religious dispute in Sudan. On the other hand, the FBI team members were certain she was the same woman in both cases. The DNA test would disprove one of the two claims and confirm the other. As soon as the team arrived in Athens, a DNA test was conducted on Dr. Ibtihal. The result proved that the same woman who was condemned to death because she was publicly denounced her religion and embraced Christianity and sentenced to death for her apostasy was the same woman who was accused of participating in the terrorists' cowardly attacks on Athens. After the result came on their favor, the FBI team engaged in intellectual fighting with the Greek police. The main goal of the FBI team was to prove that the Sudanese young woman had nothing to do with the Muslim terrorists who devastated Athens. The Greek police should admit that it failed so far in laying hands on the actual people who planned and carried out the attacks. The two teams should join their efforts together and begin fresh search for the terrorists who still at large. The Greek police stood firm on their decision that the same woman who made the phone call from the women's shelter was the same woman that they were holding as prime suspect. On the first hearing, Dr. Ibtihal was assigned a female lawyer to represent her in court. The first hearing was conducted in less than 10 minutes. When the court asked the lawyer whether the defendant was guilty or not, she answered, "Not guilty." The court set another hearing date and was adjourned. Meanwhile, Dr. Ibtihal's lover, Dr. Samir, could have filed his case and obtained refugee asylum. Then he could have applied for resettlement in a Western country. Nonetheless, he chose to stay for a while and serve in those Sudanese refugees camps in Chad. Then, he was planning to move to the capital city of Chad, N'Djamena. When he reaches N'Djamena, he was planning to approach the UN head office and apply for refugee asylum. He would file for resettlement in Canada, America, or Australia. When his case was accepted, he would be granted emergency documents. Then, he would immigrate to one of those countries. As soon as he reaches there, he would try to find a way to contact his beloved. Dr. Samir had all those plans and hopes in his mind while he was working in those refugees camps in Chad. He had not set a time limit or schedule for fulfilling his life dream of marrying his beloved Dr. Ibtihal and spending the rest of his life with her. One day, while he was resting in the medical staff place and watching the BBC World News, he was shocked when he saw the face of his beloved displayed among the 5 suspects in the Athens terrorists' attacks. Dr. Samir could not believe his eyes. His first reaction was that he tried to convince himself that the girl in the TV screen was not his beloved, Dr. Ibtihal. The more he looked at her face, the more he was forced to believe she was his beloved. He remembered that a few days ago he read an article in a national newspaper issued at N'Djamena which mentioned a terrorist's attacks in Athens done by young Arab Muslim women from Middle East. At that time he did not pay much attention to the news. He believed there were more deaths and damages done in Sudan than any place in the world at that time. However, the photo of his beloved displayed among those young Arab girls disturbed his mind and troubled his heart. He could not believe for a second that his beloved would ever think or do something inhumane like this. What troubled and confused his mind more was the name that had been given to his beloved. How could his beloved change her name from Ibtihal Osman Taha to Mastera Al-Zabier Al-Zabaidi? Dr. Samir's life was turned into a nightmare again. He could neither eat nor sleep from the time he watched that news. All the medical staff noticed the sudden change in his life. He tried for 3 days to hide that disturbing news from his colleagues, but he couldn't. Finally, one female doctor from Switzerland spoke to him regarding what was disturbing him. "Dr. Samir," said Jen, "we all have noticed that there is something bothering you, but you did not tell us what." it is. Yet, but no one of you can do anything to help me. At least tell us. My girlfriend has been falsely accused of terrorists' attacks in Athens. Oh my God! How did you come to know that? I saw her in the BBC World News 3 days ago. She is among the 5 prime suspects. You could be wrong. She might be someone looks like your girlfriend. I am sure she is my girlfriend. What are you going to do? I can do nothing. I can't go to Athens. I have no passport. If you have a passport, what can you do by going to Athens? I am sure she is innocent. She could never done something like that. She became Christian. How could she go back to Islam and do something terrible like that? Only a barbarian person could think of killing innocent people. How can you prove she is innocent? You can't convince the Athenian police because she is your girlfriend that she must be innocent. Even her conversion to Christianity can't clear her from such serious accusation. No one in the entire world can convince me Ibtihal involved herself with terrorist group. Even if she said so, I won't believe her. I appreciate your trust on her, but facts are facts. These Western police won't place someone as prime suspect unless they have some strong evidence against him. No, no, shouted Dr. Samir on Jen, no, you can't convince me that my girlfriend had done such dreadful thing. I will kill myself if something like this turn out to be true. She is innocent and I know it. Okay dear, I am sorry, but what can you do? We have to do something. Jen, among all the staff I trust you the most. I need you to help me. I know you have very large heart. I have seen those tears you are shedding every day for those poor children. I need you to stop my tears and the tears of my girlfriend. If you do me this favor, I will be indebted to you all my life. I wish I can be of help to you, but I don't see I can do anything in this case. It is even dangerous to try to help someone accused of terrorist act. I am an European girl. I know how much the European police take such accusations seriously. Even the person who just had once contact with that person would be in trouble. It would be wise thing to do is to deny that person once he was your friend. Jen, please, I am begging you. I need you to help my girlfriend. I can't do anything because I have no passport. I can't go to Athens. If I could, I would have gone right now. Please believe me, she is innocent. There must be some misunderstanding. I am very sure some people involved her. I am also very sure that Ibtihal had nothing to do with this hideous crime. Okay dear, I give up. Tell me, how can I help you? I want you to go to Athens and talk to her. Tell her that Dr. Samir sent me to you. I just want to hear what she is going to say. I can't leave her in such a difficult time. Please Jen, do this to me. I am begging you. Dr. Samir spoke those words crying. Jennifer came close to him and hugged him. Then she gave him her handkerchief. She waited until he wept. Then she put her lips near his ear and said, I will go to her. Dr. Samir embraced Jennifer to him and continued to weep. Thank you so much, Jennifer. You are not a human being, but you are an angel sent down to earth to help those who are helpless. I am not an angel. I am a human being, but let God send me as angel of hope to her. I promise you, dear, I will do whatever I can for you and her. Before you go, I will tell you everything I know about her.